And welcome to our Friday conversation. We're joined now by the EIU volleyball team. And if you're looking at our screen here, watching at home on the top, we have Haley Bilbrook, one of our graduate assistant coaches. And then at the bottom, we have Sarah Thomas, our head coach, and Manolo Concepcion. I hope I pronounced that correctly, or at least in the ballpark there, as our assistant coach on the volleyball staff. So first of all, thank you guys for joining me. I know this is a new time where you're having to do a lot of communications, not only with friends and family, but also with your teams through these types of new technologies like Zoom.
Yes, very true. But Zoom has really been beneficial for us to be able to see our entire team, and they enjoy it as well. You know, we miss their smiling faces and they miss interacting with each other. So we're at least thankful that we can have Zoom that allows unlimited people, in a conference at once.
Yeah, it's funny. We have a bi-weekly, or I guess every other week. I don't know if that's bi-weekly or exactly. I guess every other week, bi-monthly would be the right term, meeting with the communications people in our league. And somebody dropped the concept of what would you have done if this would have been 10 years ago? How would you have reacted? You wouldn't have had Zooms. You guys would have been emailing every one of your team members. I'm guessing your thumbs would have probably been worn out on, and it wouldn't have been a smartphone. It would have been maybe a BlackBerry at the newest.
Yeah, flip phone.
Yes.
Something like that. And then you have like your phone. You have to call this person, your phone line.
So one of the things that we did when I started this a couple weeks ago is we started with track, and I kind of asked them what was kind of the most exciting thing they had done that week. And at the time they'd only really been in the house for maybe a week. You guys have been in a month. So I guess more of my question to you is kind of what has become your new normal routine in this situation now that you've kind of settled into this over the last 3 or 4 weeks?
For me, I had to get into the routine of homeschooling my girls and, then also doing my Eastern and volleyball and all that jazz. But now we're finally into a routine of 9 a.m. We get our day started. I get my daughter on her class call, and then I'm on calls, and it goes all day, and it's never ending. But I've actually found that I really enjoy homeschooling both of my girls. It is testing at times, but for the most part, I'm really enjoying it.
Well, I think that the days, are they're full of things that we probably didn't do before this way, of course, because of the mornings are full of there's a lot of video watching, a lot of analysis, and then basically goes into the activity that I'm doing now with the continuing education, trying to bring more volleyball into our coaching staff, and trying to be more volleyball to our players as well. Short, long term, with an activity that I'm creating via Zoom and transmitting on Facebook Live. And then after that, it's continuing to work with the staff on operational work, but also, recruiting never stops. So we're in that phase as well. So I think it's been really interesting. And then the other thing that's been interesting to me is that this is a generation that loves technology. So although it might seem uncomfortable from the outside for what we're doing and during this crisis, I think that for this generation, it fits perfectly because this is what they're used to, the cell phone, the tablet, the social distancing per se. Yeah. So I think that we're still connecting with them. They're connecting with us. We have been really lucky to actually have all of them chip in, be committed, and be part of the process that we're executing.
One thing that we did do this week, recruiting wise, is that we had our first virtual Zoom recruiting visit. And Haley, why don't you go ahead and talk on that?
Yeah, for sure. So we kind of started out with a Zoom conversation, getting to know the prospect student athlete to start with. And then we entered in through a series of different meetings with different individuals on campus. So we started with talking with Cindy, our academic advisor, kind of getting the prospect to understand how we do academics at Eastern, and then got her involved with one of the professors actually on campus in the desired major. From there, she also talked to Coach Niehaus, our strength and conditioning coach, and we kind of wrapped up the meeting with a virtual tour of campus that Eastern was able to put together via drone and through virtual walkthrough.
Okay. Now you talk a little bit about that in terms of recruiting, and I know based before the quarantine or the shutdown happened for the NCAA where there was no contact, you guys were fortunate enough that you had kind of already wrapped up your first recruiting class. We announced that in the last couple weeks. But now you move forward. So some of the kids and prospects that Haley's talking about, are these now for 1 year down the road, or in volleyball, do you recruit 2 or 3 years down the road? And I guess with no club tournaments, this is becoming very important now, and how you're going to recruit maybe in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. So we are getting emails every single day. We're watching film, and we're able to have phone conversations with juniors in high school, but the freshmen and sophomores, we're not allowed to actually have any communication with them. So we can still watch film. We can talk to club directors, but the NCAA has really tried to slow down the recruiting process for volleyball. The last couple of years, it was getting where freshmen were committing. So although, you can find a good athlete that young, you were also seeing a lot of people decommit by the time they were getting to the school. So right now we are focusing now on our 21s, and then keeping an eye out for our sophomores and our juniors.
Yeah, I think that the main thing now is that we just came into a new, into a program. So there are two big objectives that we have, in terms of recruiting, is to make sure that we're definitely trying to shift the way of how we want our prospective student athletes to look like, in terms of the composition of our program. So it's basically, taking step by step, making sure it's a good fit for us, that because we're so new into this process, I think culture is a big deal. So making sure that whoever we bring in fits with that specific culture that we foresee happening in the near or long-term future. So I think that has been the main emphasis for us. It was the emphasis before the pandemic happened, and it continues to be that, that in this process of recruiting, yeah, talent would be important, but who will actually be able to fit right away into the culture that we foresee.
And to continue on what Manolo is saying is, we're having more phone conversations, and where before we still wanted to get to know those athletes, now it's actually giving us more time to get to know them as a person before we get to see them live, where a lot of times it's like, okay, I really like how they play, and then you get to know them. Not every single time, but where we're all having phone conversations, and now more than ever FaceTime conversations, which hadn't happened that much in the past. So that, I think, is a real positive coming out of this pandemic.
Now, I think also unique for your program, and I don't know how many, Manolo touched on it here a second ago, but Sarah, you and Manolo, brand new to the program, were just hired in the last couple months. Haley, as a graduate assistant and a coach, was with the team last year, so kind of knows the members that were on the team. But not only are you learning the program, you were trying to learn, build relationships with the current players you have, let alone recruits. I think you guys have seen some unique things that you guys have tried to do in this time frame to build some camaraderie. One of you came up with the idea. I think you played some Pictionary the other night, and so some fun concepts like that. As you guys are trying to build that team chemistry.
Haley.
Sure. So it was really easy because I just Googled fun games to play via Zoom, and Pictionary was the first one. And I knew from last year, our girls love Pictionary. So I just had to figure out how to do it virtually to make it work. So what I ended up doing is each girl would share their screen, and then I would text them what to draw. And per, little group, they would guess. And it was hilarious watching the girls and seeing their smiles once again, and getting them in camaraderie again is just phenomenal to see, especially during these times.
Did you have any, I don't know if you guys have seen the Geico commercial with the sloth that's playing Pictionary. Did you guys have any of those types of reactions where I think it was, is it a bicycle or something like that he's drawing, and he literally has a straight line?
Yeah, one of our girls tried to draw a food court, And we're like, what is that? And then we were like, okay. But it made everybody laugh.
Now, what are some of the other things that you guys have kind of done in a routine with the team? I know you would have been really right in the thick of what would have been your spring competition season right now, coming up this weekend. I think might have been your final set of competitions against outside competition. You were maybe, I would say, 50% into what your spring was. What was that like, all of a sudden having to just kind of come into a screeching halt?
Well, I think that one of the good things that Coach Sarah established since day one, this spring, was that the first thing that we wanted to talk about and embrace in our training and development was that culture. How do we get to know the players, number one, and how do we earn the respect of the players for them have their same back, and try to get that commitment to excellence right away. So we were very fortunate to have, administrators and, all the supporting team around us being really welcoming to this university. But not just that, the players themselves were really, really welcoming about the new methods that we were trying to establish. They knew right away that we were wanting to emphasize on motor learning, and the type of approach that we're doing with them. And then number two, again, how do we continue to build a healthy organizational culture within the program where teaching will start from within, where the growth will be seen from within. And then we worry about other variables that we were not able to control. So before spring break, before this happened, I think that base was established, and now the players have bought into it, and they're doing their own thing now, and they're actually having their own Zoom meetings now, and because they can see the results of having an initial good organizational culture.
Now, one of the other things that I've seen, and I'm not sure who on your staff is the technology wizard, but you guys have put a number of things out from a video standpoint. I saw one this week, and it goes to a little bit about what Manolo talked about there, is that I know that Coach Niehaus is putting together some materials that they could do, but they're kind of doing some things on top of that to really test themselves. And it looked like a lot of them were trying to be creative in unique environments in their houses. It looked like one was doing some push-ups off the couch, and another one was running back and forth between boxes in the garage. So trying to come up with unique ways to stay in some sort of shape and still have volleyball in mind. Well,
Manolo is our video coordinator. He's the one that puts all those cool videos out, and him and Haley are my techie social media gurus. So I can't take any credit for that.
No,
well,
I think that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was going to say that the players have been very creative about finding ways to stay updated with their training, and we have been really lucky to, in my experience as a JUCO professional coach and now NCAA coach, we have the best strength and conditioning coach in the conference by far. And he has been someone that since day one has been established a good program that they have bought into. So one of the things that he does is that every single day he's actually posting videos, not just of what to do, but how to do it. So he's not just telling the players to do stuff, he's actually doing everything with them. So that has been a really big deal because of that, because of what we're talking about culture, about buying in, about everyone being invested. And what better to actually have a strength and conditioning coach that it's all in throughout this really, really big, difficult process where volleyball doesn't matter much as strength and conditioning does.
Now you talk about volleyball a little bit, and we're not sure, what the future holds over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. We're getting ready to release the volleyball schedule here in the next week or two. That's kind of complete. You've started putting together some of the planning for next year, and the NCAA doesn't really allow volleyball to do a lot of team activities through the coaching staff during the summer. So if they're not allowed to come back, how big of an adjustment is that for you guys, where you normally would just hit the ground running at the start of August. Is this something that you guys could kind of carry, not that you want to, but you could carry on through the summer to kind of get the girls to where they're not too far behind when they do all report back to campus?
100%. And I think, like Manolo was saying about Coach Niehaus, how phenomenal he is, that'll just continue going through the summer. And I don't, if we have to go online and we don't get to be together as a team, I know that they'll want to do the strength and conditioning on their own. So pretty fortunate that the girls are bought in. And although they want to be together, they understand, and they're going to still do whatever it takes to come back in shape and not to prevent injury.
All right, now we'll make it a little more lighthearted on you now. One of the downsides of working at home is your close proximity to your refrigerator or to your snacks cabinet. What has been your kind of guilty pleasure that you guys have found yourselves having to go to, or having to force yourself to say no to more often than you would if you were at the office?
Haley?
I would say mine is probably Nutella and pretzels. That one has my heart for sure.
Rick, I have no comment. I'm just going to show this.
Looks like cheese balls.
Yes.
Got the supersized version from Costco, it looks like.
Exactly.
Oh, mine is seriously still anything with cheese. Like, my daughters and I are such cheeseheads. Like, we love queso. We'll put cheese in our eggs. And honestly, eggs with onion and cheese is like my girls and I's go-to every morning. This morning we went through 6 eggs, and I've come up with this like contraption of a toast with jelly and then putting my scrambled eggs on my toast with jelly.
So you're still trying to eat somewhat healthy is what you're saying?
I am, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When you don't get to walk or, stay as active, yeah.
Now, what is the thing that you guys, I guess one of the things you're most looking forward to when things do return to normal, being able to get back outside? I know if the weather changes here in the Midwest, which you never know, it could change, be 75 degrees by Saturday, what's the thing you kind of miss is a normal routine being able to do? Because right now we're really just limited to, you might be able to go out and walk your dog. Sarah probably play with the kids for a few minutes in the yard, or make a trip to Walmart.
Outdoors, I think, more than anything. Walking outdoors, biking, doing that sort of stuff that are really important. Like, that's, we're really active people. So that has been the biggest adjustment of all. And then, I have loved the restaurants that I have found in Charleston, Illinois. So I can't wait to actually get back and continue to experience different other restaurants that actually Coach Haley has been the one advising me on, hitting specific spots that she really likes.
Well, some of those still do carry out right now. So I'm sure if you give them a call up, a lot of those would probably still appreciate some business.
I miss Taco Tuesday. I'm not going to lie. At Los Portillos. I'm going to give them a shout out. Oh, they are my favorite.
Sarah
I was going
Haley,
there for like 6 weeks, like in a row every Tuesday.
Yeah. Sarah and Haley, what are you guys kind of maybe most looking forward to being able to do when you can kind of get back to normal?
Yeah, going outside. And my girls are dying to go to the park. Every time we go to just the one up the street on a walk, they're like, can we just take down that orange fence? And I'm like, no, no. Yeah.
I would say mine is going to campus. I think our campus is gorgeous, and so I miss going to it every day and seeing our girls there. I think that would be mine.
Now, then the other question, you guys have spent a lot of time online. I know we've talked about you do Zoom calls with your teams. You're doing other, continuing education type things. But every once in a while, you're going to get tired of doing that while you're sitting there on the screen. What have you kind of seen yourself diverting to? Have you hit an Amazon and made like an impulse purchase, or you're planning a trip? What's kind of the thing that you use to divert yourself while you're still in front of all that technology?
The one-click bottom of Amazon is a really dangerous weapon to have. And then my cell phone, of course, knows me, and then just like the algorithms working really well with Facebook, and then going into Facebook and then seeing something that I was thinking about being announced on Amazon through Facebook, and then I just click on it and try to buy it. So yeah, that has been a really big issue right now.
I can say I haven't really had anything like that. Staying away.
You have two little ones that I'm sure are hitting you up for things they want that they probably see on TV. So you have to probably have some willpower, though.
Yes, slime. That's all they want is slime.
There's some really good series going on right now. I don't know. What about you, Haley? What are you doing?
To stay away from technology, it's hard. I would say I bought a coloring book and 120 pack of crayons a couple weeks ago, and it's been keeping me pretty busy as an adult. So that would be mine.
Now, Manolo touched on series there, and that's one of the ones that we always try to hit people on. And I'm not going to ask you to talk Tiger King because I have tried to avoid that. I have no desire to watch that. But what other ones have you found yourself going to or being diverted away to? And you may all be in different situations. I'm sure Sarah's finding herself watching more of, it's been a while since my kids were your age, but I can remember there were a lot of cartoons and over and over and over. But have you been able to, what series is kind of the thing that you use to kind of not have to think about work and everything else?
Well, I'm probably one of the biggest fans of Breaking Bad. So I have, first of all, I have watched Breaking Bad around 200 times. So I can tell you that now I'm watching the prequel, Better Call Saul. I don't miss an episode. And then Ozark, for me, one of the most amazing series right now.
Haley?
I would say The Walking Dead and Grey's Anatomy both have been keeping me fairly busy.
I'm all caught up on them. But my daughters and I started watching Star Wars from the very first episode and all the way through. So we're hoping that they'll throw this last one out on Disney Plus before this quarantine's over. But
then have you watched The Mandalorian on the Disney then, or no?
I haven't, but my 3-year-old has. And so with my mom, she was watching it with my mom. And I've actually gotten my 3-year-old Charlotte. She likes The Walking Dead, like more than I do. I know. There's episodes that I don't show her, and fast forward, of course. But she's like, "Mommy, what is a zombie?" Like, and asking all these questions. Will I become a zombie? No, they're not real. It's just in the TV.
Yeah, you're a little ways. Hopefully, they're a little ways away before they have to. You have to answer those questions you can divert those.
Yeah.
But now I watched The Mandalorian, and I had already seen all the social media memes on Baby Yoda, and then I finally figured out what Baby Yoda was and where it had come from. So that it kind of tied all that together.
I need to do that.
We're going to wrap it up here in just a minute, but one of the things that I ask all of them to do is kind of, and I know you've talked to your kids, they're kind of going through, a tough time here. Some individually with their families may have been, more impacted by the COVID-19 than others. I know in our head coaches meeting the other day, we heard the sad news that one of the athletes, I think for one of the other teams, one of their grandparents had passed away because of it. So it does hit home for the EIU family, but kind of what would be your message to our current team members, as they're kind of going through this and kind of how to keep battling on through it?
Just to, stay home, keep your social distancing. If you go out, make sure you wash your hands, and just to try to stay as optimistic as possible, and maybe help motivate other people just to stay motivated yourself. That would maybe help motivate you.
With technology probably being the only option right now to communicate, don't forget also if you have family members around you, embrace that, because within this social distancing, I think it's a really good moment to also get closer to the people that you have around, to the people that you really miss, to the people that you really love, and try to embrace those times that at some point we took some for granted and now we all need. So that's my message.
I would say stay home, stay safe, follow recommendations, but also use this quarantine time as a time to learn something new. whether that's a skill or you watch a video or anything like that, I'd say use this time to your advantage.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys' time, and stay safe. And hopefully we'll be back to where everybody can see everybody on a normal basis in the office in the near future.
Rich, thanks for inviting us. It was fun.
Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Bye.